What's up, everybody? This is Jamie coming to you. I know I made a video, I think yesterday or last night, and I kind of went into what I was going to talk about somewhat today, but I want to go more in detail about what I think it takes to be a good owner operator in today's market, as the title says, or the description. So if you're new to the channel, it's kind of a background. Um, This is the 32nd video of the journey from lease purchase, where I started at Use Express as their lease purchase. And then my buddy came on, we did team. Found out we didn't like Use Express at all, lease purchase program. And then we switched over to Covenant / Tail lease purchase and did that for 2 years. And then we now he's no longer with the company. He went and did his own thing, and then I've now become a full-fledged owner operator with Gorley Trucking. Um, so, kind of I want to talk about in today's market / which we have, this is election year, so the market's up and down. Kind of sucks, but what I think it takes, especially I'm about a month in now to being a full-fledged owner operator without a lease company. So I want to talk about what it takes, or what I think it takes, to do a decent job. So we'll dive right in. First, I'm new to the whole live chat thing, or the live videos. I usually record them and then put them on. So sorry for the amateur part of the whole live stream thing. So what I think it takes is a huge. If you're coming straight from a company driver into jumping straight into as an owner operator and skipping the whole lease purchase stuff, just because your lease purchase doesn't you're owner operator per se, but you're like you're the extreme low end of the owner operator, because most time you don't get to book your own loads. The company still takes care of everything, etc. That's how it was with US Express and Covenant / Tel. Yes, we were lease purchased from Tel, but Covenant got us all. Covenant got all the loads. They handled all the permits, all that kind of stuff. And then Tel, they did. They handled all the breakdown stuff. They handled everything else. So you really didn't, even though we're a lease purchase, you really didn't do a whole lot as owner operators, other than covering the expenses of being an owner operator for the most part. Which even in a lease purchase, your only real expenses that you can really see are fuel and your payment for the truck. So kind of, if you're jumping from a company driver straight into more of the higher tier owner operator, to where you're having to book your own loads. And there's also so I would say you have starting lease purchase here, and then you have something like Landstar that's about middle of a pack here, because even Landstar, you're very limited as a owner operator. And then you have, I'll say a little bit above that, you have what I am, or what I consider, is, more freedom, more responsibility tier of owner operator. And then the highest, I would say, is your full-fledged, own your own authority. You do everything yourself, which is, I don't do that. I'm leased on with Gorley Trucking. I know Tim. I've known Tim for a long time. Great guy. But it's I own my own trailer, or at least my own trailer, so it's an 80-20 split. And Tim handles certain insurances like liability and stuff, cargo. He does the insurances. He does does all the permit stuff. All that kind of stuff he handles, which is that's part of his 20%. So I'm when I talk about this, what I take what it takes to be a full-fledged owner operator, I'm talking about my tier, not what I consider the top tier. Um, so the month in now, which before this, me and my old partner Rick, we went to Landstar, and I can talk about Landstar some. Um, it didn't work out for us. We ended up losing a bunch of money. It just wasn't very team friendly. They had some team freight, yes, but it wasn't a whole lot. And we ended up going back to Covenant for the last, I don't know, 8 months or so, something like that, to make ends meet. And we should have done prior. We were only at Landstar for about 3 months, and we lost like $15,000 because we just could not figure. We just couldn't get the work, couldn't get everything to plan out good. All the loads we were getting were solo pretty much because we had to sit and wait. And as a team, if your team, you can't do that. Um, I will say, as far as Covenant, they were awesome. As far as team freight, when we ran and ran, we were on the Estes, before my current situation / Rick leaving, etc. We were on the Estes thing, and when we were doing 8,000 miles a week, sometimes on the low end, you're looking at mid fives, something like that. Anyway, so back to owner operator. So over here, at Gorley Trucking, like I said, Tim handles that stuff. My job, I still have to pay for everything. And it's more. So, I have to cover fuel, of course. I have to cover, my truck payment, and not through a lease company anymore. So with TEL, I bought the truck out with a balloon payment. And people frown with balloon payments. It's not that bad. If you have good, decent credit, and I only put like 9,000 down out of my maintenance account from TEL. So my payment's $1,900 a month. In the lease program, it was 1,100. 1,100 a week. So a big difference. So it's like $490 a week I pay for my truck payment, and then I have to have like insurance coverage. I have to have for my truck. Like, so say if it's my fault, I have to cover, my truck, which is like $85 a week or something. So, being the middle, just about, like I said, in the middle tier ish, owner operator, it takes a lot of responsibility. It does. So, not only are you having to do that kind of stuff, but then then you have the LLC stuff, tax stuff that you have to keep up with and handle. So then you have, like I said, the payments of all that, insurance, truck payment, payroll, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the section of, over here at Gorley, we have, I don't even know how many load boards. Let's see. I'll count the load boards I have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have like 8 load boards that we can look at. And it's awesome, don't get me wrong, but you also have to, train yourself, because you're constantly thinking, you're constantly having to keep up with your, time wise, where you're going to be at, when you're going to be empty, giving yourself enough room, which I learned that, in my last video, I kind of go into, I learned the hard way this week, about time management and foreseeing things happening, which I did not do. So you have that aspect of being an owner operator, and that alone is a huge headache. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to just deter anybody. This video is not to try to deter you from being an owner operator or becoming a lease purchase person, etc. It's to for you to foresee what it takes to do those things, and that way it's not a huge shock, because a lot of times it is, and people don't make it. If you follow trucking industry, there's been a ton of companies, a ton of owner operators lose their business because they come in at a time, which COVID, they come in at a time when the market was paying out the roof for loads and stuff, and they had, when the market settled back down to normal, they're like shocked, like they had no idea how to manage and constantly have to change things. And I would say as an owner operator, that's the biggest thing. And you're just constantly rolling with the punches. There's constantly something else that you have to be doing. And a lot of times it's hard for people. They don't expect it. But so I would say time management skills, and constantly, write stuff down. I constantly, even though all my loads and stuff are on my phone, I still write them all down in a tab, in a folder or whatever. Pick up times, where I'm going, etc. So being organized is extremely important. And then let's see what else. Fuel, biggest thing. That's a huge plus, or it will benefit you a lot if you are really good at managing fuel. So I don't have an APU system, so I run my truck, which sucks. I probably need to look into getting one of those. But learning where to get fuel, when to get fuel. So as a lease purchase driver, in your mind, you're like, oh, I just want to get the cheapest fuel wherever I can, and fill all the way up. Well, it's not like as a lease purchase. That's how we were, where I was. That's what we looked for. As a more true owner operator, that's not technically how you want to fuel. Just because you get the cheapest fuel in this state, the states that you're going to be going through, they're getting their cut, which is what IFTA is. It's a tax. They're going to get their cut. And either A, you can pay it, right then at the pump. So like me, I have 200 gallons that I can hold. Now that I'm an owner operator, I only do 100 gallons at a time. There's no point of me filling up all 200 gallons because as an owner operator now, I don't run. My max distance for a load, might be 600 miles, and that's pushing it. Usually, I'm in the 200 to 400 mile range. I have a load I'm picking up today. I have to leave about 2:30 for it. I'm picking up a load here in Chattanooga. It's going just west of Nashville. So it's right at 202 miles. And, I got the broker to pay $600 for it. So, right around almost $3 a mile. It's like $297 or something. And that's another thing, when you're looking for loads as owner operator or a more true owner operator, it's not just gross pay of a load, and it's not just per price per mile. It's in the middle of that, because you can have the highest paying per mile load, but if it's not going very far, your gross for the day ain't going to be that much. So it's a fine line. You have to figure out what works for you and your expenses. For me, I like to be between the 7, which is really low, 7 and 1,100 a day mark. The higher I can get to that $1,000, the better it is. But like I said, managing fuel. So like back to the fuel. So the the more, so say I got 200 gallons in Tennessee, then I went through Kentucky and Ohio and all these other states. Well, at the end of the year when they do an IFTA, or the quarter or whatever it is, when they do the IFTA, when Tim does the IFTA report, they're going to come back to me, hey, you owe us $400 for all these states that you went through that you didn't get gas in. So to alleviate that, and if I'm wrong, if there's other operators that that I'm explaining this wrong, please comment. But this is my understanding. But so if I got only 100 gallons in Tennessee, and then 100 gallons in another state, it splits that up, and it lowers that $400, IFTA payment, whatever, to say $200 at the end of the year. I would say that's the biggest thing you have to, as an owner operator, is the unforeseen expenses that you don't think of that just pop up. Like jumping in from the lease onto Tim or Gorley Trucking, ended up paying $1,500 that day or that week or whatever. Excuse me, that I didn't expect. So I would say money management is a huge one. Being able to save money, being able to say no to buying things. Just because you have it doesn't mean you need it. And you want to set money goals. Like my goal for my maintenance account is to have at least 5,000 in it at any time. If it gets lower than 5, you're gonna be hurting. Especially for me, I'm the truck and trail, and I'm responsible for the truck and the trailer. So that's what the biggest thing that gets a owner operator in trouble, and they have to close up their shop, is because they don't do enough to save for maintenance. So you always want to separate. So like I have personal account, I have business account. In business account, I have 3 accounts. I have the main, which is just for normal spending / kind of just on end bills. Middle account I have is for insurance and truck payment. That's all that comes out of the account. And when I put money into it, I know not to touch it. And then my third account, I have maintenance, and same thing. Once it goes in, it doesn't come out unless it's for maintenance. And you have to train yourself to do that, or if you don't, and you start dipping into that maintenance account, when that $2,000 maintenance issue comes up, and it's not in there, well, guess what? You're either taking a massive loan out to try to rebuild a motor, which is way more than $2,000, or you're just up shit's creek. So being able to money manage and save up for that is a huge benefit. And I would say, so say you're a company driver and you're wanting to get into lease purchase. One, I would tell you, in my opinion, go to Tell. Love them. I don't even know how many videos of that journey for us, but love them. Had no issues with them. Everything they said, was accurate, was true. So if you're looking to do that, I would highly tell you go that direction. If you're looking to go step into the lease purchase, eventually owner operator, the more you have saved and the lower your personal bills are, the better off you're going to be. Trust me. Me and Rick learned that the hard way, and that's it's one thing that kind of screwed us over at Landstar, not being able to make ends meet because our personal bills were so high. So the lower those are and the more money you have in savings to make that transition, the better. Same thing going from lease purchase to owner operator, same exact thing. The more money you have saved and the lower your expenses are, the better off you're going to be. The less headache, the less stress, etc. The less the less you have to stress about finding that perfect median between gross and rate per mile. That takes a lot of it leaves a lot of that stress. So the if it's up to me, and like I said, I'm not saying you can't do it. It just makes it a lot easier. Because I was the same way. I watched people videos saying, "Oh, I would wait until blah 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 and da da da." Well, that's what they did, and or that's what they didn't do, and that's why they're saying that. Same thing for me. Not saying you can't do it. It just it makes it a little bit more stressful because you like in your mind you have to make a certain amount of money. So I would say like I said, money management, fuel, and just know it's going to be a headache. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good weeks, bad weeks, especially in this market. So being able, when something does happen, you lose a load, you have to cancel loads, you have to quickly, because you're going to be upset, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be mad. If you looked at my last video, I was freaking furious this week. But even though as all that, you still have to change your mentality because you still, when it happens halfway through the week, you still got to change and get ready for the rest of the week. If you don't, your gross that week's going to take a hit if you let it just eat you up inside. So being able to roll with the punches, push stuff out of your mind, and keep fighting, to get that, to get those other loads, to make up for it, is a huge, huge benefit. So I always forget to do this, but if you're looking for a good headset, I have a link in my description. It's a headset on Amazon. So if you can't tell, I have a big head. I wear a double XL hat, or helmet, whatever. So I always had the issue with not those cheap heads, which they're not cheap, but those headsets at the truck stops, they suck. I'm gonna tell you now, they suck. Even if you're owner operator, company driver, whatever, those things suck. I think it's the Blue Parrot one or whichever one come out. That was the dual headset. I was, ooh, that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna fit my head good, etc. No, it was horrible. It squeezed my head like crazy. It didn't go over the ears. It sits on top and squishes your ears down. So I was like, I gotta figure out something to do. So I did. I found one on Amazon. I can't remember the name on top of my head, but it's in the description. Should take you right to it. If it's over top of the ear, it's adjustable. Like the top part, adjusts to the shape of your head. You can hook multiple devices up to it at one time, which is pretty cool. Noise canceling, the whole shebang. Its battery lasts, I don't know, 2 to 3 days or something. So if you're looking for a headset, I would highly suggest that. Yes, I do get paid for it. A couple of dollars off of it. Whatever. I do have to say that, which that's in the description too. But so that's out of the way. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can go into more detail, but it pretty much covers. I would say that, and I would say the biggest thing is the stress. You have to be able to handle and navigate your way through the stressfulness of being an owner operator, because it's not like being a company driver or even that bottom tier lease purchase driver. Nothing like it. If you're having, because it falls all on you. if you're having a bad week, if your money's not doing that great that week, if the truck's not running good, if all these things are happening or not going the way they should, well, guess what? You can't blame your dispatcher. You can't blame the company you're working for. You can't blame any of these things because it's all on you. All you can do is blame yourself. And so you have to, like I said, you have to learn how to, maneuver yourself through that stress and through those tasks every single day, to make, to get to that end mark for that week, where you want to be. And that's one reason I like being an owner operator, because I love the challenge. I love not the hassle. I love the hustle, because it is every day is a hustle. Finding those loads, talking to several brokers a day, and then when you get to that point where you're 2 or 3 loads ahead, you're like, and you can project where you're going to be at for that week. You're like, man, this is gonna be a good week. And a little bit of prayer, for me, a little bit of prayer goes into that it stays that good for that week and nothing crazy happens. Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing is just, if you're looking to go into owner operator, just know it's going to be stressful. It's going to be a hustle. And that's what, some people are cut out for it. Some people are not. There's no, if you're not cut out for it, no harm, no foul. That's, there's nothing, nothing against those people. But the only way you find out is if you try it, unless you just know that you don't want to do it. And that's why you'll see these company drivers that are older, and that they say that they've been in trucking for 15 years, and you're like, why are you still a company driver? Well, it's probably because they have either went and done owner operator, figured out they didn't like it, didn't like the hustle, didn't like all the responsibility and the massive toll it takes, and they rather just drive a truck and get paid for it. Then that's usually how that turns out. Or people know it automatically that I don't want to do all that. I just want to just get paid to drive a truck, which is fine. Me, I'm one. I like the hustle. I like the responsibility. That's what makes me tick. Excuse me. That's why I eventually I wanted to add, hopefully about 5 or 6 months, maybe 7 months. I want to add another truck over here. Put somebody in it, and then pretty much let them be an owner operator, kind of thing. The book their own loads, and do all these things. It's I'm just paying. I'm covering the expenses of the truck and everything. Probably something along the lines of after Gorley takes their cut, and then after fuel, split it 50. Split the rest 50-50. Which off the top of my head, on an average week, that would look like average week I bring in $3,000-4,000, maybe some. On a higher end, you're looking at $5,000-6,000. So that would look like if it's 3,000, it'd be 1,500, and then I would cover truck payment, all those expenses and stuff out of my end. If you're at the 6,000 mark, that's looking more like 3 and 3, which as a person not covering, or as a owner, if you're not an owner operator, if you're getting paid that much money, that's amazing, because you are not going to find that as a company driver anywhere for sure. And even a lease purchase, you're lucky as a lease purchase solo. You're lucky to bring home $1,300 a week, and that still pushing it. With U.S. Express, it was even worse. And that's why we left U.S. Express to begin with, because as lease purchase, owning the truck, etc., we were only bringing home $800-900 a week, and it was bullshit. That's why we left and went to Tel and Covenant, and then we were bringing home around $2,000 each before taxes. But like I said, that's a step up, and that's a little bit more stress starts coming into play with that. And then now, as an owner operator, a true owner operator, I should say, it's even more. So that's my what I want to do as far as staying here at Gorley, etc. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. I do my darndest to answer every comment within a couple hours. Usually it's within an hour. I try to answer it. Feel free to ask me anything. If you would like to talk about being that person that drives that truck once I get it over here, if you want to hit me up at USTC recruiting at gmail.com, feel free to do that. We can talk about that. Like I said, about 6 months, 7 months, or something like that from now, I want to do that as long as everything keeps going good, which I'll keep updating these videos every week or two. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you have any other opinions on what you might think it takes to be a good owner operator, feel free to leave a comment. And any advice for me, like I said, I'm still, I consider myself still a new owner operator. So if you have any advice for me, I'll take it. I'm not a person that gets offended when somebody tries to give me advice. So feel free to ask any questions, or just leave a comment. Appreciating the videos, all for it. But if you would like, subscribe, go check out those headsets, etc. in the description. But for now, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.